they employ to go into people's accounts without any without any valid reason and take people's money out. Yeah, and you might not even know that your money's been taken out of your account if you don't check it regularly. Did you vote for this? Did you actually vote for this? Because there's a lot of people who vote. Let me just grab some water a minute. There's a lot of people who vote, and they say to those people who don't vote, you ain't got the right to complain if you don't vote. Yet still, they're voting, and after these bills and laws that's been passed, they don't even know nothing about them. We're supposed to be in a democracy. We elect our representatives to go into parliament to represent us, not the other way around. They're supposed to be there for us. We vote them in so that they can obviously do what we ask them to do, but it's not like that now. You know how many laws are being passed through parliament every single week? And the public authority have no idea that these bills have been passed. Should I say laws? Because you've got bills, laws, and acts, they're not all the same thing. Bills, laws, and acts, they're not all the same thing. Let me read this article anyway. I'm going to come back to this in a minute. All right. The Public Authorities Fraud, Error and Recovery Bill. 5 things they've announced plus other aspects of the bill through Parliament. Right, so things that they've announced. The Public Authorities Fraud, Error and Recovery Bill aims to strengthen measures against fraud and erroneous payments in the public sector while improving recovery mechanisms for lost funds. Here are 5 key aspects of the bill. 5 key aspects. Listen to this. 1. Expanded investigation powers. The Public Sector Fraud Authority, that's the PSFA, will be granted new powers to investigate fraud across public authorities, excluding HM Revenues and Customs, that's HMRC in brackets, and Department for Work and Pensions, the DWP. Right, number 2, enhanced debt recovery. The bill introduces stronger debt recovery mechanisms, allowing the government to reclaim fraud-related losses directly from individuals' earnings or bank accounts. Number 3, civil penalties for fraud. Instead of relying solely on criminal prosecution, the bill introduces non-criminal financial penalties to deter fraud and reduce burden on the court. So guess what? They don't have to go through the courts now, right? They don't have to go and get a warrant from the court to go and look at your accounts. That's saving the government a lot of money in it, because to go through court, it could take a long time, man. Yeah? So they're cutting through a lot of bureaucracy and going straight to your account. They don't need to use the courts now. Let me read on. So that was number 3. Civil penalties for fraud. Instead of relying solely on criminal prosecution, the bill introduces non-criminal financial penalties to deter fraud and reduce the burden on courts. Extended limitation periods for COVID fraud. The government will have up to 12 years to take action against fraud-related COVID relief funds, preventing fraudsters from escaping accountability. Number 5, improved oversight and safeguards. The bill includes provisions for inspections, reporting mechanisms, and oversight to ensure new powers are used appropriately and proportionally. Other aspects of the bill in Parliament. The bill originated in the House of Commons and is currently progressing through the House of Lords. It is sponsored by the Department for Work and Pension, with key figures such as Liz Kendall and Baroness Sherlock leading its passage. Baroness Sherlock leading its passage, and Liz Kendall. Yeah, these people with the so-called titles that some of you follow. I wonder what they're really doing for you. Seriously. Number 3. Right, the bill includes search and seizure powers, information sharing provisions, and the eligibility verification measures to strengthen fraud prevention. So they're going to have a whole heap of different powers to be able to seize your goods. And that's probably not just money in your account, but your physical assets. Go into your home and take things. And this is without having to go to court either. They don't have to go to court to go and get a warrant. The overreaching powers that the state has now is just incredible. And then we've got something called the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, which makes things even easier now for a lot of government officials, yeah, to do. Because you got this thing called the Internet of Things, which is your smartphone, your smart computer, your smart fridges, yeah, all of those smart technology things. They're quite intrusive because they're collecting information on you, and the other thing is they're all connected together as well. They're all connected together. That's why they call it Internet of Things. So it's much more easier to track and trace, to be able to trace and see where you're spending your money and what you're spending your money on, and who you have around you, what company you keep, all your information, all your pictures that you take, your holiday photos, pictures that you take in your own home. Yeah, that is all being recorded and going somewhere else. It's much more easier for governments and for the state to be able to trace you and to see what you're doing through the Internet of Things. Let me read on. Would you like to explore the bill? Would you like to explore this bill and its impact on public service or individuals? Anyway, I skipped over that bit. The Public Authorities Fraud, Recovery Bill was introduced in Parliament, meaning the general public did not vote on it directly. Only elected members of Parliament, yeah, through the MPs and Lords, debated and voted on it. Okay? So this bill didn't go directly to us, members of public, right? It went through our MPs. And our MPs don't necessarily tell us everything that's going on, do they? We're supposed to be in a so-called democratic society and look at the way that we're being treated, members of the public. We pay for these people to sit in office and not doing it for nothing. So many bills and laws are being passed now without the consent of the public. I don't vote, and there's only once I've ever voted, and that was for the Conservative Party, and that was when I was 18. Ever since that, I have never voted. But there's a lot of people who vote, and they turn around and they say to people like me, and other people don't vote, you can't complain. If you don't vote, you can't complain. But yet still, you have voted, those ones who voted, and you're still complaining. Why? Because there's a lot of things and acts and laws that have been passed without your consent. You did not consent to this. You did not consent to this. Let me read on. However, the bill's progress is publicly accessible, and discussions around it are often reported in the media. People can follow its journey through Parliament via official government websites, attend public consultations if available, if they're available, and MPs may engage with their constituents on related issues. Listen, man, we're supposed to be in a democracy, and I think we're becoming more of a totalitarian society. Go read George Orwell's book, yeah? 1984, you want to read that book. Because we're becoming a more dystopic type society. And people are just acquiescing and just agreeing with everything that's been pushed on them. Instead of standing up for their rights. And you have the right to stand up for things that you don't believe in, that's been pushed on you. You have that right. You are a sovereign being. But you're losing your sovereignty, or you're giving it over to other powers. Now, there's this thing about bank accounts, because I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people now, their bank accounts are being either stopped, money being drawn out of their bank account, and this bill hasn't even been passed yet. Hasn't even been passed yet. There's some people, I've heard he's been on things like social media, next minute, this account's been blocked. Ask anyway, co-pilot this question. The state is overreaching into people's bank accounts. Why? The state is overreaching into people's bank accounts. Why? Hi. Are UK banks asking for people's date of birth when they already have this, as you cannot open accounts without this? Is this part of the government or tech surveillance program? That's what I asked co-pilot. It's a sharp observation. This is what co-pilot said to me. It's a sharp observation. See, I keep saying, I think outside the box. I see things sometimes way before they happen. All right? Sort of thing that happens when you're awake and you do a lot of meditation like I do, right? And you become awake to certain things and you can see the patterns. So you know what's coming. You can see what's coming down the line. Too many people, they think inside the box and they're like sheep. I think from outside the box. It's a sharp observation, co-pilot says to me. And one that's been raising eyebrows lately. While banks already have your date of birth on file from when you opened your account, they may still ask for it again as a security measure. It's often used to verify your identity during customer service interaction or online transaction, especially when other forms of authentication like passwords or biometrics aren't available. Biometrics, see, that's another thing. That's also part of the Internet of Things. Biometrics, when you walk into a supermarket, you got cameras and they're watching you. Or even if you're walking down the road, the CCTVs are monitoring you. They're watching you. They're looking at the way that you walk. They're watching your gait. Yeah. They're looking at your eyes, your facial expressions, And some of these things are also recording your conversation. You see, when you go into some of these stores, yeah, some of these supermarkets, they're actually recording a conversation. They're recording a conversation. Trust what I'm telling you. They've got so much biometric information on us, scanning our faces, scanning our eyes, looking at our body shape, looking at our gaits, the way that we walk, and all this information goes back somewhere. This is a dystopic world that we're starting to live in. And there's hardly any privacy anymore. Right, let me read on. That said, your question taps into a broader concern, data collection and surveillance. Recently, there was a controversial proposal in the UK, the Data Protection and Digital Information Bill, which is a different bill again to one that I was talking about just now, that would have required banks to share certain account data with Department for Work and Pension, that's a DWP in brackets, to detect benefit fraud. This included checking if claimants exceeded saving limits or were spending time abroad. The bill faced heavy criticism from privacy advocates and was ultimately dropped before becoming law. But it sparked a real debate about the balance between fraud prevention and personal privacy. We're not all criminals, are we? Let me have some water. We're not all criminals, are we? But we're treated like criminals. There's some people out there that are criminals who commit fraud and that. But the government can look into your account regardless of whether you've committed a crime or not. Why? Why? If you haven't committed a crime, why are they looking into your accounts? Why are they collecting so much information on us? As I said, when you go into a supermarket as well now, you got biometric information, watching and scanning you, watching everything that you do, watching to see what you purchase from the shop. No more privacy anymore. You got smart meters in your homes. They can turn the temperature up or down externally. Anything that's digital can be turned up or down externally. You got your smart fridges. I didn't see the point in that myself, but some people got smart fridges. You got smart TVs. You got smart meters. You got smart computers. You got your smartphone. You got your smart watches. Everything's turning digital. Means more control for the state. People don't see it. They can't see that they're losing their freedom every single day. Every single day. Every single day, you're losing just a little bit more of your freedom as these laws and acts are being passed. Hundreds of them a week. And how much do you know about these bills and laws that's been passed? Does your MPs tell you everything? Are they going into the House of Lords, House of Parliament, representing you, and you don't know half the things that's going on? And by the time you do find out, it's probably too late because it's then turned law. It's then turned law. Everything is upside down now. Everything is just upside down. And we're just losing so much power, man. People need to take their power back. We think we're powerless. We're not powerless, we're powerful. We are sovereign beings. We're giving away our sovereignty to the government. We're giving our sovereignty away to these big tech organizations. We're giving our tech not giving away our sovereignty to surveillance and to these surveillance societies, man. Let me read on. So while asking for your date of birth isn't part of a surveillance program per se, it's understandable that people are becoming more cautious about their data, how their data is used. If you're ever unsure why a piece of information is being requested, it's perfectly reasonable to ask the bank for clarification. Would you like to explore how to protect your personal data more effectively, or deep dive into surveillance debate? And this is what I said. It's not about me, but I've read on platforms. Thank you. So it wasn't about me, it's about things that I've read on various social media platforms. But Copilot's asked as though it's me that's got the issue, it's not me. But obviously there's been a lot of other people who've had their bank accounts frozen for some reason and not even being told why. Is that really a democratic procedure? Are we actually really living in a democracy? I got to ask you. Because the government and the MPs are supposed to be there to represent us. Democracy means representation by the people, for the people. Right, so got it. And fair enough. There's definitely been a wave of healthy skepticism across platforms lately about how institutions use personal data. A lot of it stems from how often we're asked to repeat the same information, which can feel less like security and more like surveillance, deja vu. And then Copilot says, thanks for bringing it up. It's a bigger conversation than it's given credit for. If ever you want to untangle more of what's behind the headlines or sift through signals and sift through signals and noise, I've got you. Signals and noise. It's a bit of a funny phrase. So people, it's up to you. It's up to you really, because you're all individuals. I merely just give the information out, and it's up to you how you want to use that information. Right? That's all I'm doing, is just giving you the information, and then you can make your own choices for your powers of discernment, whether or not you want to go with what I just read. It's up to you. But I just know this much, that it feels like we're slowly being imprisoned. This digitalized prison, the surveillance system. We hardly have any privacy anymore. Hardly any privacy. What's it going to be like in the next 10 to 20 years? What's starting to take over our jobs? Where will we be as a human race in 20 years? Or even 30 years' time? We're giving up so much of our autonomy. We're giving up so much of our rights. We're giving up so much of our freedoms. For what? Anyway, as I say again, use your own powers of discernment. It's up to you what you do with the information that I've just given to you. This is Eldad Amara with another video. Over and out.